What's going on YouTube? I'm Kramer the Watch Guy. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about something pretty interesting in the watch world, something that I've always had interest in, and that is Seiko mods. Let's begin. So this is my Seiko mod that I made myself. I 100% custom pretty much. And I wanted this to kind of be a hybrid between the Rolex Pepsi with the meteorite dial and kind of my own take on it. An all black watch, a little stealthy and cool. I picked all the parts and I actually had the dial completely customized for me, and this is actually one of the very first NH34 mods, and that just means the GMT. So we'll get into that in a minute, but what I really wanted to talk about is why Seiko mods? What's the point of it? What is it? And basically what it is, it's taking a Seiko and modifying it to a certain degree. And that's the original way. You know, people will modify the cases. You know, Seikos, they typically have the crown at at 5, so down here. But a lot of people prefer the crown at 3, so they'll get a whole new case, they'll get new bezels, they'll get dials, hands, the whole thing, and eventually it's not even the same watch, only the movement is pretty much existing. And this watch that I have is actually not even technically a mod, it's an entire build, because literally nothing about this watch is Seiko except for the movement. So now I want to tell you why a Seiko mod over a full custom watch. And that is pretty interesting in itself. Let me go get my custom watch that I made that has nothing to do with Seiko, and we'll get into it. So this right here is a full custom watch that I made a few years ago. It's actually the first custom watch that I ever built. It is not Seiko at all. It's actually based on the 2824 movement -2, and this watch was a pain in the ass to make, to be quite honest with you. So the reason these custom watches are so difficult when you're not doing Seiko stuff is because basically when you build one of these, you have to decide what you want to prioritize. Do you want to prioritize the dial? Do you want to prioritize the case? Or do you want to prioritize the movement? And everything is built around one of those three factors. And the reason being is because when you pick the movement, right, your options are going to be limited to that movement. You can't just put any movement in any case. The case has to be built to accept that movement. Then on top of that, now you have to deal with the dial. The dial, number one, has to fit the movement, and number two, it has to fit the case. A lot of times when you're doing a custom build like this one, this dial is 100% custom. I designed it in CAD, and then I actually had a dial maker print this dial for me to the exact size and specification. So there's a lot more that goes into it than a Seiko build. A Seiko build, the benefit is all the dials are the same size for the most part. All the cases fit the movement because it's a Seiko movement, and so on and so forth. It's like a puzzle. With a custom watch like this one, again, every single part has to match and be customized, and there's a lot of modification, and it's a real pain. I'm not saying not to do a custom watch, but I'm saying it's the benefit of a Seiko mod like this right here. So Now I want to talk about how you can actually build one of these Seiko mods yourself and the do's and don'ts. So the first thing you need to do is you need to have kind of a design in mind. Now, don't be one of those guys that just goes and makes a fake Seiko Submariner or, a fake Pepsi or something like that. Be creative. Do something like this. Have a mind of your own. It's kind of the perks of doing a Seiko mod is there's so many things you can do. But anyway, the first thing you need is the movement. So right here, we have the NH34A, which is the brand new GMT movement. It comes in a pack like this. You could get it on eBay. You could get it on Amazon. You can pretty much find it anywhere. It's like $100, $120 maybe. It's really not that expensive. And this is the heart of the watch, the beating heart. This is everything right here. Now, I accidentally ordered two, which is why I have this extra one for here. But here's the... I didn't accidentally order two. They accidentally sent me two, and then I offered to send it back, and they said, nah, it's fine. I was like, all right, maybe I'll build another one. But anyway, decide if you want a GMT, if you want a date, whatever you want, decide, buy the proper movement. So here we have the date, and we have the GMT. So that is the NH34A. And I know you can't see the other side of the movement, but they typically come with the date wheel pre-installed, so you're good there. Next, you're going to need hands. So again, GMT. So we have the Rolex Mercedes hands here. Very low quality from Alibaba. I think this was like $1. And the GMT hand, this one's blue. So, pick your colors, pick your style, and go from there. Next, you need to pick the case. Now, there are companies where you can literally pick the dial, the case, the hands, the movement. You can literally build a watch on the site. Don't do that. And the reason I say don't do that is because you're very limited when you do that. You're limited to the options of that site. Look around, browse the internet, pick what you want. It's a Seiko mod, not a custom build like this, so you have a lot more options and things fit together, and they typically fit together very well, almost like Legos. So I got this case on Namoki Mods, not a sponsor of the channel by any means. I built this watch over a year ago. And they have some very high quality cases, but you can also go on AliExpress or eBay or whatever and find a really nice case. This is a Submariner case that they make. It's matte black, but they really make some nice stuff that you can find. So you pick the case, then you're going to pick the bezel insert. Mine is just matte black. I didn't want anything on there, just matte black. So I picked the bezel insert. Then it typically will come with a seal. Then you put the glass in, which I also got from Namoki Mods. And this one has a red AR coating on it. I actually call this watch the GMT Mars Rover. Because it's kind of got that space theme with the meteorite. And yes, this is real meteorite. But then what you want to do is you want to pick your dial. Again, it's a Seiko mod, so you can, all the dials are the same size for the most part. So you just pick it. This is a custom dial, real meteorite. I got it from the dial maker. You can follow him on Instagram. He has some crazy stuff that he makes. It's pretty cool. Pick your bezel, which is here, your bezel insert. Now, mine has a click spring, which allows it to not rotate. It's unidirectional. And it's really high quality, which is awesome. And but you don't have to put the click spring, so it could go both ways if you're doing a GMT, but this is more of a dive. This is a dive GMT hybrid, if you will. So I put the click spring. I wanted it. You know, why not get funky with it? So then I had the bezel insert. This was actually the only issue with this watch. I wanted a matte black bezel insert with gloss numbers. Unfortunately, I couldn't find it, but I found the reverse. So it's the matte black numbers with the gloss bezel insert. Still looks good, but not necessarily what I wanted. But again, that's why you gotta go through all the sites and see what you want. And, you know, comes with gaskets. Sometimes you're gonna need a crystal press if the case doesn't have the crystal pre-installed. Again, I picked the crystal on this, so I had to press it in. There are other ways to press in crystal. I recommend a press. It is nearly impossible to do it without a press, so don't risk breaking the crystal. But anyway, overall, the watch cost about $300 to make, so this one in particular was expensive because the dial was like almost $200. But everything else is pretty reasonable. Everything else is reasonable. You can probably build a Seiko mod for 150 bucks if you really try. You know, the older NH35 movement, those you could get for like $50 in itself. But you know, really design it. You know, the Seiko mods are pretty sweet, pretty cool stuff. And I just wanted to touch upon this. It's not my usual content. You know, usually I do a lot higher end stuff, but sometimes it's good to get the creative side going and put your own watch together, because then you really see how it works. You know, you get to actually see the movement for yourself. You get to hold it, you get to touch it, you get to take it apart if you want to. You can learn how to service it, and that's really part of it. That's part of, you know, the watch experience. Not every watch needs to be $20,000 or whatever, like, you know, the freaking Rolex Submariner Kermit over here, or, you know, a Speedmaster. There's a lot of cool things you can do, and it's something different that I think everyone should try at least once. You only need a very basic toolkit to get going, but I just wanted to share that with you, and until next time, peace.